MGM Grand Garden Arena here in Las Vegas. Well, fight week is here. You can see it, you can taste it, you can feel the excitement, and you can smell the excitement as well. And now Premier Boxing Champions presents the final press conference for one of the most highly anticipated fights of the year, Canelo versus Plant, for the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world, live on Showtime pay-per-view. This event is brought to you by Canelo Promotions and TGB Promotions, and sponsored by Hennessy and Value. And now, without further ado, let's bring out our fighters for this history-making night of boxing, champion versus champion, for the very first undisputed super middleweight championship of the world. First, the IBF title holder now making his way to the stage, accompanied by his longtime trainer, Justin Gamber. He's a Asheville City native, now fighting out of Las Vegas. He has dedicated his life to boxing, and he is eyeing this golden opportunity to become the very first super middleweight undisputed world champion. And he is ready. Making the fourth defense of his title, record 21 wins, no losses. He is the undefeated reigning IBF super middleweight champion of the world, Sweet Hands Caleb Plant. And now his opponent, the unified world champion and a star of boxing, accompanied by his longtime trainer and manager, Eddy Reynoso, the fighting pride of Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. Boxing's #1 star and pound for pound great, the 4-division world champion, and the current WBC, WBA, and WBO super middleweight champion of the world, Saul Canelo Alvarez. We're going to hear from our fighters shortly. At this time, we'd like to acknowledge the outstanding cooperation and effort by the co-promoters in making this event possible, Canelo Promotions, along with President Tom Brown and the team of TGB Promotions. Well, it has been a very busy and exciting year for Showtime Championship Boxing, and there's much more to come. Exciting schedule the next 2 months as we end 2021. But nothing is bigger than this fight, this mega fight, Canelo versus Plant. At the helm and center of success for Showtime Boxing, my pleasure to introduce to you at this time the president of Showtime Sports, Steven Espinosa.
Thank you very much, Jimmy. As Jimmy mentioned, for Showtime Sports, 2021 has been one of our most prolific years on record. By the end of this year, we will have produced and delivered a total of 42 live boxing and mixed martial arts events from January to December, making it the second biggest year of televising combat sports in our history. Week after week, month after month, year after year, Showtime has been and continues to be the standard bearer for the sport of boxing. There's no other network that presents the sport with the quality, the experience, the clarity, the objectivity, and the expertise that we do. And that's why this fight, Canelo Alvarez versus Caleb Plant for the undisputed super middleweight title, belongs here on Showtime pay-per-view, the highest quality presentation with the largest reach. Right now we're in the midst of a remarkable run of 7 fights in 8 weeks, 3 days away from the biggest fight of the year, obviously. Following weekend, we have another promising young star, David Benavidez, who's certainly going to be looking to make his mark in 168, followed by a unification fight on the 27th with Stephen Fulton and Brandon Figueroa, and Tank Davis, a pay-per-view, as well as Nonito Dordeiro returning, followed up by Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury. But here today with our partners, Canelo Promotions, PBC, TGB Promotions, we're thrilled to be back here at the historic Grand Garden Arena at MGM. This is the home of historic fights. Roberto Duran, George Foreman, Mike Tyson, Roy Jones, They've all fought here. This is a historic arena and the appropriate destination for a fight like this. Canelo has fought here 7 times, Plant twice. Previously on Showtime, Canelo has fought 5 times on Showtime, and we're thrilled to welcome him back. This will be Plant's 2nd appearance on Showtime, and we're thrilled to have him back as well. Canelo, you know him by now. He is the consensus #1 fighter in the sport. Turned pro at age 15, never been down as a pro. There's a lot of discussion about where he ranks among the all-time greats of Mexican boxers. But that's the wrong question. The right question is where he ranks among the all-time greats from anywhere in the world. He's had 20 bouts versus world titleists. 11 of his last 12 fights have been against world champions. He's been a world champion in 4 different divisions, and he is universally considered boxing's pound-for-pound leader, and is looking to be the first Mexican in the 4-belt era to be an undisputed champ, and the first fighter from anywhere in history to be the undisputed champ at 168. Should Canelo be successful in unifying all the titles, he will have done so in just 11 months after winning his first title. If Plant wins and becomes undisputed, he will have done so in 2+ years, and that speaks a lot for the quality of fights these 2 young men have been taking. You know Caleb Plant. He is also a champion in IBF, world champion, undefeated. People ask, what does Caleb Plant bring to this fight? The better question is, what doesn't he bring to this fight? He's big, strong, athletic, an excellent boxer, good movement, strong defense, an excellent jab, and a hunger and a determination that has driven him to this point. So when you have someone as well established as Canelo is, pound for pound #1, the biggest star in the sport, the temptation is to assume that Canelo is going to be as dominant as we've seen him be. That's what we're used to seeing. But as Lee Corso says, not so fast, my friend. This is, without a doubt, Canelo's toughest fight, his biggest challenge since the Golovkin fights. And rightly so. This is a fight with a lot of personal animosity. This is not just the undisputed world title at stake. This is for pride. This is for legacy. This is for history. Don't miss it. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Reminding you, this is live on Showtime pay-per-view. You can order the event on showtime.com/ppv or virtually all the traditional cable and satellite providers. As Stephen had mentioned, it takes place here at the Grand Garden, MGM Grand Garden Arena, a historical venue. And my understanding that if you want to come see the fight live, there still are some tickets, limited tickets available. You can go to axs.com. And at this time, we want to hear from our trainer, the men who know the fighters the best. They've prepared expert game plans for their quality and valued opponents. First, we'll look at Caleb Plant's trainer, hear from him. His longtime trainer, he trains along with his father, Richie Plant. Please welcome to the microphone, Justin Gamber. Justin?
Hello, I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank all the members of our team that are with us day in and day out, that put in work every day. In my opinion, we have the best team in boxing, and because we have so many great team members, every one of them is a great team member. So I want to thank our team. I want to thank Snack, and I want to thank TGB and just Al Heyman and Louis DeCubas for making this fight happen. It's funny to say, but saying that we had the best training camp, it almost feels kind of cliche, because I don't know, it seems like everyone says it, and I'm about to say it again. We've had the best training camp, and every training camp that we've ever had have been great for different reasons, and this training camp has had its challenges for different reasons, but it's been the best training camp for me and for this team. So just know that no stone has been left unturned. All the work has been put in. We've gone above and beyond to prepare for this fight, and you're not going to see a better version of Caleb Plant in the ring on Saturday night. The work's not done yet. We still have 12 rounds of boxing to put in, and at the end of those 12 rounds, I have no doubt whose hand will be raised. It's going to be Caleb Plant, the first undisputed super middleweight champion in boxing history. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Justin. And now we'll hear from Canelo's camp. My pleasure to introduce to you at this time Canelo's loyal, longtime trainer and manager, Eddy Reynoso.
Buenas tardes. Antes que nada, pues agradecer a toda la gente que está aquí, que está apoyando esta gran pelea.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you all for coming to support this fight.
No hemos hecho un gran campamento, hemos hecho una gran carrera para este sábado poner la cereza en el pastel, como decimos.
This hasn't only been a great training camp. We have witnessed a great career, and this fight is, like you would say, the cherry on top for everything.
Hemos tenido grandes peleas con grandes peleadores de todos los estilos, zurdos, derechos, campeones y no campeones.
We have fought so many different fights against former champions and non-champions alike.
Creo que hay muy poco que decir de la carrera de Saúl, pero el sábado vamos a poner al primer mexicano, al primer latino como primer campeón indiscutible.
There is not much left to say about Canelo's career, but in the end, this Saturday, we're gonna witness the first Mexican undisputed world champion.
Y a la vez respetamos mucho el trabajo del equipo de Plan, pero nosotros somos mejores y el sábado se va a demostrar.
We respect and admire Plant's work ethic, his team as well, but in the end, we are better and we're gonna show that on Saturday night.
Y poner al boxeo de México donde siempre debe estar, en lo más alto. Y pues muchas gracias a todos los que están aquí presentes.
The goal is to be at the top, and thank you again, once again, for everybody here supporting this fight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eddie. We also want to recognize his father here, legendary longtime trainer. We say hello to Chepo Reynoso. Before we hear from the fighters, we do want to acknowledge our undercard for this big event, featuring 3 10-round bouts. Showdowns featuring in separate bouts two-time world champion Anthony the Dog Durrell and the Showtime debuts of former world champion Rey Vargas, who is still undefeated, and the knockout artist Elvis Rodriguez in separate bouts in our undercard on Saturday night. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear from our fighters at this time. My pleasure first to introduce to you the IBF title holder. He'll be making the 4th defense of his title. He is the talented and determined and undefeated IBF super middleweight champion of the world, Sweet Hands, Caleb Plant.
What's going on? Appreciate all the media showing up today. I want to thank Al Heyman, my manager Luis de Cubas, Showtime, Steven Espinoza, and everybody who plans on tuning in Saturday night. Not much time left and really not much left to say, so I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Leading up to this fight, Canelo said that Mexicans don't fuck around. Well, that's good to know, because where I'm from, we don't fuck around either. So Saturday night, make sure you tune in. You'll be seeing the first undisputed super middleweight of all time. This is history, and you're looking at him. His name is Caleb Plant. Thank you.
Thank you, Caleb. Also want to remind you the fighters and trainers will be available for one-on-one interviews following our Q&A from Brian Campbell coming up. And now, ladies and gentlemen, introducing the unified world champion, looking to become the first Mexican boxer in the history of the sport to capture an undisputed title. Ladies and gentlemen, he is going to and aiming to cement his place as one of boxing's all-time greats. Please welcome the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, Saúl Canelo Alvarez.
Solamente quiero agradecer a todos por estar aquí, como siempre, apoyando.
I just want to thank everybody here for, like always, to be here supporting me.
Gracias a todos los que hicieron posible esta pelea.
Thank you everybody for making this fight possible.
Y como ya lo dijo Eddy, hace muchos años empezamos este camino para completar esto y estamos muy contentos de estar a muy pocos días de hacerlo.
And like Eddy said, we have come a long way to make this happen, and we are just days away from making history.
Y nada, agradecerles, no hay mucho que decir, nos vemos el sábado 6 de noviembre. Como saben, vamos a hacer historia juntos, gracias a todos, y quisiera aprovechar para darle a Eddy el reconocimiento de hace ya un año más o menos, más de un año, por la pandemia no se lo dieron, del entrenador del año.
We would like to recognize Eddy Reynoso as Trainer of the Year. We didn't have the chance to do it with the pandemic, so I wanted to take the time to do it.
Muy merecido y creo que este año va a volver a hacerlo, back to back.
This is very well deserved, and I believe he's going to repeat this year.
Gracias.
Thank you very much.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we move on to our Q&A session, and to lead us at this time, my pleasure to introduce